Yo, what's up, world? Yo, this is your brother Shakim. I'm Amenaket. What's happening? Hey, so, man, a lot of stuff going on. I just wanted to do a real quick live, nothing too much. I know a lot of people may be on lunch or something, doing some things. But I wanted to talk about something, right? So, on my mind is outreach versus out of reach. Because it seems like there's a difference between the two, and fundamentally we're I would say we're confusing the two, right? See, a lot of times people might have visions of doing outreach in the black community. People have visions of doing outreach in the Hispanic community and outreach in the Latino community. Outreach is something that is very important in our day-to-day lives as far as organizations who seek to influence change in certain areas, whether it's policy changes. If you want to do outreach as far as policy with prison reform, getting to peace, family, what's going on? Getting to the right people and getting your message in the right area to be heard, and being able to influence the thought processes of the people and provide resources. That's the quintessential cause or definition of outreach, right? Being able to influence, connect to, and support those who might agree with you and might want to stand with you, but they either A, they don't know that you exist, or B, they just might need to know and understand a little more about the topic that you're trying to present to them. So outreach is very important, and any organization that engages in outreach understands that you have to be able to connect to your audience. That's one of the main focuses of outreach. So what ends up happening in so many times in outreach, that we don't connect with the audience that we strive to reach. I'm gonna say that again. A lot of the big problem with outreach is that we're not connecting to the audience that we're ultimately trying to reach. So when we fail to reach that particular audience, what ends up happening is that we're just having a mental exercise amongst ourselves. And a lot of times they use this word, I don't really agree with it, but they call it mental masturbation. We're just engaging in a lot of mental masturbation because the people who are trying to reach the message we're trying to reach are not actually hearing the message, or the message is relayed in a certain manner that the people aren't really digging it or feeling it, because it's either A, too aggressive, B, too passive, or it could be a combination of those. So what I want to do first and foremost is talk about some of the ways that we can increase or enhance our outreach. The first thing that you have to do is understand your audience. If you're trying to engage in outreach, you have to be able to embrace that audience. You can't be abrasive to the audience that you're trying to meet, and you can't negatively stereotype the audience that you're trying to reach. When you begin to negatively stereotype the audience that you're trying to reach, and you berate them and you talk down on them and you talk negatively about them, you can't expect to have an impact in that particular community when all of your speech and all of your mannerisms and your thoughts and your statistics and everything that you're trying to push to that group is negative. You can't reach them like that. Like I said, we do a conflict resolution class in North Charleston High School. When I get in there and I talk to those young men, I don't just talk about the negative aspects of somebody's culture, because it's bigger than that. You can't go in, and I can't go in and just beat the young men in the head and say, you know what, y'all are thugs. 50% of you are gonna get shot, before you're 25. A lot of you are going to be brought up in single parent homes, and a lot of your fathers are going to, be in prison, and your mom is going to be on welfare. You're going to live in public housing. See, I can't go in and expect to reach those young men citing statistics that are just filled with doom and gloom. Even if I say, okay, the statistics that I quoted are correct, nonetheless, that's not the end all and the be all to their situation. There are statistics that we can quote that will bring them or breathe life into them. And these are the things you want to focus on, right? See, it's a difference between being a teacher versus being a political talking head with an agenda. Most of the political talking heads that we see now with an agenda, they want to present the doom and gloom picture because that is what their audience likes to see. It's almost like what we call clickbait, right? Clickbait. If you look at an article that says, black home ownership is rising in the African American community, or you see an article that reads, black owned businesses are increasing, in America. If you see a title like that, or you see, more blacks are attending HBCUs and pursuing higher education, that won't get as many clicks as, more black people are, black women twerking is a disgrace to our nation, or, black men killing each other at an alarming rate brings calls from the Department of Justice to, increase the penalties for drug trafficking. See, those clickbait articles that are filled with doom and gloom, they get the attention and the likes, not from black people a lot of times, but a lot of times it's from other people, whether it be other races or whatever, ethnicities or cultures, that want to actually be biased or discriminate against other people. What's up, E? You at work? You want to get on? So we got to be careful of circulating a lot of this clickbait that always shows black doom and gloom. We see all of these videos out where, black person gets shot, black people can't walk down the street in safety anymore. You see all of the, and black on black crime in Chicago. If we're planning on reaching our community, we have to be able to, of course, we're going to have to talk about some of the negative things, but as a teacher and as someone who wants to have a vision to send people from point A to point B in a manner that is going to be enlightening, you have to, along the path, show them ways that they can improve. You have to get in the community and talk to people. You have to provide them visions of opportunity. Talk to them about, what they want to do when they get older. Talk to them about certain career opportunities that exist. Talk to them about different ways that they can increase their level of education to subsequently increase their income. We have to tie, if you're giving statistics of doom and gloom, you have to tie it into something that is going to show them that this is not where they have to be. Because if you start talking to every black person like they're criminals, then of course you're gonna miss the complete picture, because most every black person is a hardworking black American, African, whatever you want to call them. Most black people are hardworking. They go to work every day. They come home. They do for themselves. They don't want handouts. They want to make life better for their children. They want to build a strong family unit. Yes, everybody makes mistakes, but a majority of black people aren't out here committing crimes. That is the truth. Most black people aren't in jail. The number of blacks that are in jail is really, really, really minimum when you look at the total population of black people, especially in the United States. So you can't just come with a message of doom and gloom. That's not outreach. Outreach is not out here, outreach does not encompass in demonizing our people or demonizing your people. Outreach is being able to lend a helping hand. That's why it's called outreach. Outreach. When you reach out, then guess what you have to do? Bring them in. But you don't bring people in by always casting negative aspersions toward your particular race. Outreach does not encompass being very negative in your speech or in your post or the way how you express yourself. That's why we have to get a grip on the situation that's going on now. We got to get a grip. More people, especially in the political arena, are not focusing on wealth creation and opportunities that are here that we can utilize and take advantage of. Most of us are focalizing on the small, minute things that I catch that later. A lot of people are focusing on small things that are only meant to provide clickbait to news outlets, and it turns around falling on in the wrong ears and being used for the wrong purposes. So we're gonna have to step our game up. Let's get involved in understanding policy. Let's talk about how we can make strides in prison reform. I believe I'm a strong advocate of decriminalization of marijuana. I believe that marijuana needs to be decriminalized. I believe that a lot of people are getting negative marks on their record because of something as petty as marijuana. I think marijuana is not as deadly as tobacco or alcohol. I believe that marijuana should be legal. So that's something that, when you start talking about prison reform, let's talk about decriminalization of marijuana, and let's wipe out all marijuana sentences. You might say, "Oh, that sounds far-fetched." It's not far-fetched. We should actually be thinking and talking about this. Marijuana is not a dangerous drug. It's not dangerous. It has a lot of healing faculties. So by us criminalizing marijuana, knowing that it has the ability to produce medical miracles, why not decriminalize it? Let's have those discussions. You want to talk about prison reform? Let's talk about ways how we can focus on ending a lot of disparities in sentencing. You still have a disparity between crack and cocaine. We know historically that it's always been a racial divide with cocaine use and crack use. I don't know, it's probably weakened since then because I know a lot of blacks, been on cocaine and all that other stuff. And I don't know if it still exists. I've been out of that for a long time. But nevertheless, it was a racial connotation attached to that. So now let's still continue, because cocaine and crack are still basically one and the same. Let's end the disparity between the two and make them equal. We still have that out there. There's a lot of things that we can work on with criminal justice reform that will help people not be in such. And you might just say, well, why do you know don't use it? Don't use it. Why do you use marijuana anyway? Like I said, there's a lot of medical things that marijuana can be used for. And we know that marijuana does have a lot of positive, a lot of positive things to its use. So let's not sit here and act like marijuana is all bad. But we don't want to decriminalize it. We don't want to have these conversations. So there's a lot of real work that needs to be put in. Let's talk about affordable housing. People out here right now, it's going to be a housing crisis. Let's talk about how we can keep the housing prices affordable so people don't have to, nickel and dime just to buy a house to live in, and then they can't pay the rest of their bills. Let's make sure that part of the American dream is owning a home. Let's make sure that people can afford homes just from working a job and working a steady job and making good money. Let's not make home ownership something that is so hard to do and put so many roadblocks in our path. Let's stop that. Let's talk about these policy issues and things that are going to help increase our quality of life. There's a lot of people who want to increase their quality of life, but there's certain things that are acting as a roadblock. Let's look at all the roadblocks that are there, a lot of government bureaucracy. Let's look at why it's there. Let's look at the history of why it's there. Let's look at the legislative steps that have been taken to get there. And if it's something that is totally outdated that we don't need anymore, let's talk about ending it. Another thing, let's look at your credit report. When people pay their light bill on time, that should be something reported as being positive. You know, you can pay your light bill on time for 2 or 3 years every month. That should go down as helping to establish good credit. If you're paying your utilities, your water bill on time every month, you on auto bill pay. That should go down as being a positive mark on your credit to help boost your credit score. But it's not. It only makes it harder for you. You have to go and purchase a credit card with high interest rate, or you got to engage in some sort of activity that is going to, you know, cost you or make you charge you interest in order for it to look good on your credit report. We need to end things like that. We need to end it. That's going to help. Building credit, of course, is one of the key fundamental things in home ownership or getting a loan. These are things that we need to talk about, especially as Black conservatives. It's hard, though, when you have people that will rather talk all day and talk about you should begin developing a part. Hey, that's right. Hey, man, I might, but that's a good idea. But the thing is, as long as we continue to put our energies into talking bad about Black people in front of other races just to make us look bad and to prove a point, and you being a grifter, if that's all that you bring to the table, then we need to go ahead and cancel you out, because we can't effectively do outreach in our communities when you have people that are steadily trying to increase their marketability amongst bigots and racists. And because you got Black racists too, you like, hey, one thing that I'm gonna just jump off the topic. Sorry for using this, but one thing me and racists have in common, I hate niggas too. You know what I'm saying? The ignorant ones, the ones who, push this propaganda of Black people being criminals in front of other races, so that gives them it emboldens them to discriminate against me, because you just sat back and listened to this Black person do a whole Facebook or YouTube or Twitter rant about Black people being criminals. Now I'm walking down the street, harmlessly. I'm walking to the store, and this white person just saw a podcast of some popular Black conservatives or media personalities saying that I'm a criminal or Black people are criminals. So now all of a sudden, you just helped me get stereotyped for no reason other than the fact that they just heard a Black conservative talking about Black people are criminals, and now you believe that about me. So when you see me, you automatically have in your mind that I'm a criminal. These are the things that we need to eradicate. Tory, he said, oh, definitely. These local politicians should help bring that funding to the front line, guys. Definitely. And Tory, you just as well as I know, we're going to have to push for that. South Carolina just said that they had $1.9 billion. $1.9 billion are available for stimulus, for COVID relief funding. They're fighting over that right now. Nobody, listen, the only person that I've seen talk about that or express that to me is Representative Marvin Pendarvis. He's been the only one. I have not heard any other state representative, or they might have said it, but I ain't see them posted on their social media pages. He has been the only one that I saw. The rest of them, I don't know what's going on, but it's no way that we have all these grassroots organizations. Like Tory said, people on the front lines here in the state of South Carolina, we spending our own money, raising money to help with COVID-19 relief. Man, we out here right now paying people utility bills. I'm in the Community Resource Center now. That's what we're doing in the front. Interviews to help people who couldn't pay their utility bills because they laid off. The government didn't give us that money. We raised money for the food bank. The government didn't give us that money. We raising money, and we're depending on our supporters to help us. And you mean to tell me the state has $1.9 billion at its disposal, and we got to sit and put up GoFundMe accounts and circulate our Cash App and write letters to other individuals to help us in our efforts. And we're doing all of this. And you mean to tell me that our politicians right now have at their disposal $1.9 billion ready to distribute, and they can't come up with nothing? And this goes for Democrats and Republicans, because both of y'all got y'all hand in the cookie jar. We're going to talk about this. Okay, so right later. So yeah, we'll talk about that, Marifa, and I want to bring you on. So this conservative work. So me as a conservative, the reason why I'm conservative, I want less government. I don't want government. The more and more government that I have in my life, the more and more misery that I accept in my day-to-day activities. The more and more government that is controlling the way how we make decisions or controlling our future, it has the potential to cause more harm and more damage. The more government dictates, and that's why I just went back to something like marijuana. The government now is, locking people up for marijuana. It's a good thing. Normally, the government gets it wrong. And we're looking at this right now, manifesting in front of our eyes. The government normally gets it wrong. Look at what's going on right now with COVID-19, and let's look at the small business loans. The government has it wrong. They've been giving out a lot of these big companies, giving them the money. But the small businesses, people are on hold. Some have got them. Most of the people are on hold. They had to jump through loops. They can't get the unemployment. The phone lines are going unanswered. Government gets it wrong a majority of the time. So if we're allowing government to grow and expand and they keep getting it wrong, what we're doing is we're setting ourselves up for failure. That's why I am, in one of the biggest senses of the word, I embrace conservatism. Now, you need government. Let's not get it twisted. You need government. I'm just saying continuing to grow government more and more and more increases the probability that they're going to get it wrong. And if government gets it wrong and they have control over that particular policy or that particular functionality, then we're going to be the ones that get damaged in the end. So therefore, I am not a fan of big government. Another thing that conservative actually, conservatism entails. Yes, somebody's in here. Hold on, I might have a visitor. Yo.
Somebody's at the front door.
Oh, okay. Send them. Yes, send them. Sorry about that. So yeah, so we're gonna build on this later. Facebook, we definitely gonna build on this later. But yes, problem with less government is the entities that are already there. Right. So and Marifa, I agree with you, right? He makes a good point. And this is why I just kind of said that. The problem with less government is the entities that already have the power get even more powerful, shut everybody else. That's why I say there needs to be oversight and balance. You can't get rid of government, right? So my thing is increasing government is a problem. Just say there's no government. Now, the people who already have millions and millions in access to hey, what's going on? On Facebook. I got a visitor right here. Visitor just walked in the office. How y'all doing? This is Miranda. Miranda is one of our major supporters at the Community Resource Center, North Charleston. Miranda not only is a supporter, she is like a mentor. She is one who always gives the guidance. She gives a lot of vision and provides a lot of feedback for individuals who might not be able to get certain things as far as funding and help and support. She really steps in and gives that pathway to success for those who might kind of be struggling whether to go left or right, up or down, front or back. And she's been a supporter of mine. I'm a supporter of hers. She's been very supportive of the Community Resource Center North Charleston. She doesn't support with her mouth. She donates financially. She's, given her hardworking money to help us to do things like the food bank and just pay. Yeah, we got utilities here too. So she's been able.
I just want to say for the record,
okay.
Because a lot of people think that MPOs are given everything. No, there are costs that are associated with running an MPO. And when it comes to nonprofit organizations, money is not black or white, it's not red or blue, it is green. So they have to receive the help where they can get the help. And if anybody has a problem with the way that they're receiving help, then step up and help.
Right. And
that's all I need.
Right. Okay. And I'm about to end this live because Miranda just walked in. I was ranting. But Jill says something important. Jill says, unfortunately, not all Republicans are conservatives they claim to be once they're in office. She's correct. Jill is correct. Jill fighting medical marijuana for the longest. And it makes sense. You can't sit here and actually make an argument about something that has healing properties. I'm trying to really figure out what is. Oh, sorry. I'm really trying. I heard my voice in the background. I know. So I'm really trying to figure out, right? If something is proven to have healing properties, it's something that is going to help increase somebody's quality of life when they have health conditions and ailments. Why? I mean, we know why, but the question is rhetorical, right? Why are we against legalizing and mandating something that is going to help the health condition of individuals who are suffering? You can't sit here and logically make an argument that is going to go against me giving somebody something that is going to help increase their level of comfortability in their life from an ailment that is attacking them. Like, you have to be a cold-hearted person to deny somebody a remedy that is deemed effective by doctors nationally and globally. You have to be a cold-hearted person to deny somebody the right to take a drug that is going to help them. That is criminal in and of itself. That is an act of war against the healthcare system. It's an act of war. You got to be a heartless person to say, I see this person suffering from epilepsy or something, and there's a drug, a good drug, that can help them to ease the pain and the stress of having to deal with this. You got to be a cold-hearted person to deny somebody the ability to use a drug that is going to help them. That's like me saying, I'm not going to give a cancer patient chemotherapy because I just don't like chemotherapy. That's dumb. That's like saying, I'm not going to give this person Advil to cure a headache because I just don't like Advil. That is criminal. And the people who stopping this type of legislation need to be held accountable, because what you're doing is you're putting your self-interest over the interest of somebody who's sick and asking us or asking you for help for their medical condition. You got to be totally out of your mind to say that you don't want to legalize medical marijuana, and you know that it's going to help the people that are asking you to help them, to ease their, ease their pain. Come on, you got to, all right, let me get off. I'm here, Miranda's here. Hey, y'all, I appreciate y'all. Thank y'all for listening to my rant. Y'all have been wonderful, and we'll resume this conversation later on this evening. I think it's something that we really need to discuss, but we got to really start focalizing on policy issues, because policy issues are what's going to really, right, and Jim, she made a point, and arresting them when they have to use it illegally. So that's even worse. That's even worse. And I'm going to bring this point up, and I'm going to go, because Jill's going to have me on here all day cutting up on people. Now, you got a drug that is going to help somebody ease their pain because they have a certain health issue. Not only do you stop them from self-medicating, which is a good thing, because I mean, that's like somebody saying, okay, I'm gonna force you to keep this headache because I don't like what you're taking. So not only are you stopping them from taking the medicine, you arrest them. You're arresting somebody for trying to heal themselves. They're not taking the drug to go out there and rob nobody. They're not using marijuana to go out there and cut up in the streets and act a fool. They're not using marijuana to drug people and rape people or drug kids. They're not using marijuana for anything that is unethical. They're using marijuana to take away the pain that they're going through, that they have to live through in their day-to-day lives. And then you lock them up when they use it. This is criminal by far. Thank y'all very much, Brother Shakim. Peace, y'all.